So we're actually doing a live recording of the free video tonight. So if you hear me interacting with the folks, it's because we're doing this live in the futures room. And the topic that has been really interesting as we go into next week is, do futures affect, or do earnings affect futures traders? Do earnings affect futures traders? So remember, next week, I mean, it's right around the corner, we're going to have the first of the major financial earnings. Now, for a lot of traders, they think, well, that's just going to impact Goldman and JP Morgan and Wells Fargo. And maybe for those of you that follow ETFs, it's going to affect the XLF. Well, for futures traders, we know that XLF is heavily weighted within the S&P and pretty decently weighted within the YM. It becomes an event for the S&P. And this is something that a lot of traders get in trouble with. They ignore the fact that earnings can affect what I call the season of the tail wagging the dog, the individual stock moving the broader index. That is the season we're moving into. And a lot of times what futures traders do is they just ignore those. They think, well, I'm not a stock trader. I'm not a stock options trader. What does it matter to me? It matters a lot. And here's why it matters. So let's break this down, because a lot of times futures traders don't realize the impact that some of these sectors and the stocks within them can have. So I'm going to show you something that will hopefully help explain this a little bit better. And that is, we're going to break down the S&P, but not by the individual stock holdings. Although I do want to take a pit stop here, because take a look, JP Morgan, Berkshire, that's number 1 and number 2 within the XLF, right? That's number 1 and 2 within the XLF. But if I scroll down a little bit more, I can see the sector breakdown. Take a look at the number 2 weighted sector within the S&P. Right there, finance. And so this is a big deal for futures traders. And again, it sadly blindsides many of them. So we know S&P is going to be impacted by the XLF, and that the heavily weighted stocks within the XLF will affect the S&P. So let me show you another look at this using the multi-charts on TradingView. I'm going to bring up the XLF multi-chart. So what is this? This is, in the upper left-hand corner, the large chart is the broader ETF, that sector. And then the stocks here are listed in order of their weighting, the top 11 names. Most ETFs are high concentration weighted ETFs. So understanding the stocks within the sector, within this ETF, are going to also give you an idea of what's going to move the broader average. Now remember, this is in the broader average in a big way, and so is this. And it happens to be number 1 and 2 within the XLF. What else is in the XLF? Well, if you recall, let's bring this up again. Here we go. Goldman, JP Morgan, Wells. That's just Wednesday. Then we get to Thursday. It's Bank of America, BlackRock, Citi. Keep those 6 names in mind. See them here? Yep, they're all over the heavily weighted top 11 of the XLF. XLF, number 2 weighted sector within the S&P. So what we're going to do in the premium video is talk a little bit more about the 642. This is the cheat sheet, the cliff notes for the 642 earnings approach. But again, you got to remember that as we go into the timing is very important. As we go into the this window, after that, we've got Pepsi and UNH, USB. It's not as focused. I mean, we're going to see some more banks as PNC. But this first, and this is very important for S&P traders, those first 6 releases are going to affect the S&P in a very outsized way. So keep that in mind. Keep it on your calendar. Keep this multi-chart in mind. And keep in mind that if you're an avid S&P trader, the mornings that we get the release affecting XLF, they're going to affect the S&P. And we'll dive into the 642 earnings approach, how that affects us as futures traders in the premium update.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency. It's one of the things that won me